Hey guys, it's Josiah here back again with another video. Now in this video we're going to be going through the 3 lies that's been keeping you stuck under 10k per month. Right now I wanted to do a quick video because we do have some people in the program, in terms of especially my company and some of my clients that are below that 10k per month, that are looking to kind of scale. And these are a few things that I've seen as a collective and things that I had to overcome myself to push by my first 10k per month, 20k per month. And I wanted to do a video just to share kind of a few lies that you kind of tell yourself or you've seen around that has literally kept me below 10k per month for the longest. Right now, if you don't know, my name is Josiah. I help other agencies scale by helping them implement fully automated outbound systems and inbound systems so they can scale to the first 10, 20, 30, 50k per month. There is a link below for us to chat and hear more about it, but that's not part of the video, so let's just get into it. Right, so the first lie that I've seen everyone going through, I don't know where this has come from, right? And the first one is be everything to everyone. Right, to everyone. Okay, now this is essentially, okay, I'm gonna service 3 niches, right? I'm gonna do free services for all of the niches. I'm going to have 5 different payment plans, and it's absolute chaos. Like, there will literally be, okay, 3 niches, right? 3 services, 5 payment plans, right? Or 5 packages, payment packages, right? And you want to literally divert your attention. That's what, 3, 4, that's around 6. That's literally like 11 times that you're diverting your attention. So let's say this, your attention here is going in so many bloody places, right? You're gonna have clients paying every single thing under the sun, and then you wonder why you're stopped, or you can't scale past your first 2 or 3 clients, right? Because if you do this, like, you're gonna be doing, like, 1 client is going to be equal like 4 clients work, right? Because you're trying to do so many things and literally overgive to this 1 client that's making you very hard to scale. And what happens, and the thing is, it may not even be like, let's say, the niche, right? Because I know niche is one of the biggest things. Another thing that people don't talk about is having multiple services, right? Multiple services. Because the multiple services one is literally like the biggest handcuffs you can have, right? So you're doing 1 Facebook ads, right? Facebook ads. 2 Google ads. Let me just come here, change the color here. Google ads, right? 3 TikTok ads, right? And the main thing about this, you're mediocre at all of these, like meaty, and you're trying to put all of them as a service, knowing that it's going to take you extra work. You're going to have to learn a new platform. You're going to have to learn a new way of doing the post, the algorithm, everything like that. You're going to have to basically relearn a whole service 3 times and give that to the 1 client. And you're asking yourself, why can I not scale? Because you're doing so many of these bloody like services at the same time that it's very hard for anyone to scale. Like, it's very hard for anyone to scale. Just to give you full context, right? While we're running AGP, which is the company I was running. So for AGP, this was done for you services. All we done was email outbound. Email outbound. So we just set up, and it was very easy. We set up first domains and tech, right? 2 was scripts, offers, right? 3 was just leads, right? And then if you do 4, just like basically just the inbox manager, right? That was basically it. Manager, right? Inbox manager. That's the only thing we've done, right? These 4 steps. And guess what? You can automate this, right? Automate. This could be templatized. Template. Right? This, again, could be an SOP, right? Or you can use Ocean.io and standardize, right? Inbox manager, that was already an SOP. Okay? So we could go from basically client pay, right? To basically finish launch, because we had to wait an extra week, right? Launch will probably be like 1 week. And that'll be like everything on our side ready. And then we just wait another week for the emails to warm up. And then week 2, we could launch, right? Now, it was so systematized that from, completely honest, at the highest peak, me, just one person, was managing 30 clients, right? 30 clients, just on the system level. Now, it starts getting a bit more complicated when it comes to client communications, but just one person was managing 30 clients. And it was so easy for us to manage because we just had one campaign, one thing for the client. It was just very, very simple. Now, yes, we had to test more, right? There was some testing, everything like that. But the basis of the service was very, very simple. Now, I would have probably been able, especially if you had multiple servers, probably managing max like 5, probably like 3 to 5 clients, right? 3 to 5 clients. But because you want to do everything else, or you want to do so much for a client, it's very hard for you to scale, and it's very hard to actually put the other attention, which people don't talk about, is you have basically a finite amount of attention, basically is delivery, and then sales, right? And then marketing. Is that people make delivery so big, right? That they don't have time to actually market and sell. Because like, oh my God, I'm just swamped in client work. I just have so much client work. I have so much client work, so much client work. It's like, of course you have so much client work because you promised them like every single service under the sun. Whereas if you just stuck to one service and just done that, you'll have more bandwidth, more attention to then focus on sales and marketing. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, right? Because at the end of the day, especially when it comes to like your first 10K per month, it's like just like 80% just sales and marketing. Like you just getting good at that. Just sell something to someone, right? Marketing. Like, that's it. Like, that's all you need to do. Just 80% sales and marketing. That's everything you need to do. That's it, right? The rest is just, of course, as you scale, you can then systematize delivery, get into that. But in your first 10K per month, you just really need to know how to sell and market. And then worry about the delivery after. But a lot of people over-deliver. That's why the first thing to worry about is just how do I deliver? Okay, so one thing, so solution here, right? Practical solution, here, solution, right? Pick, and it's gonna be simple, one niche. Ideally you want a niche that there's loads of people in it and they have money, right? Pick one niche, pick one service, pick one package, right? Because here, hard for you to learn how to market to 5 people, hard for you to know how to deliver for 5 people, and then it's hard for you to sell 5 packages at once. Rather just sell one package and just be very good at selling this one package, right? That is the solution. Stick to this, stick to this, stick to this. Simple, right? Now, the next thing is essentially trying to do everything yourself, okay? Now, the main thing is trying to do everything yourself. Let me just put here. Yourself. Okay? Trying to do everything yourself, that's number 2. Now, there's a few places I see people going, right? Number 1 is not utilizing VAs, right? Which is one of the craziest things I'm seeing, right? Not using VAs, right? VAs. And VAs, especially your first VA, is going to be so important, right? When you make your first, like, I even say 1,500 plus a month, right? Get in your first VA. And the VA, especially, you're going to have a more of a operational / kind of exec VA, not proper exec, but kind of exec. And she can be taking care of so many things, right? Admin plus comms, communication, right? This could be like setting up DLs, setting up anything like that, setting up your accounts, your domains, any little thing like billing or finding things or researching. And this literally gives you like an extra 20 hours a week, 20 hours a week back, right? That you can then reinvest into learning, right? And this is really cheap. Like you're going to be paying like $200 to maybe $500, right? But you get 20 hours back of your whole life per week. that you can then reinvest into other parts of the business, right? And honestly, what you really need to do is just do a time audit. Now, what you need to do here, and what's helped me, is to do a time audit in terms of what task is especially draining, right? Not bringing money, okay? Bring in money. You need things that draining, not bringing money, and then they're the things here. So let's say draining, you're gonna loop back to the VA, and they're gonna be taking care of all of them for you, right? Responding to email, certain things, right? You're gonna be giving it back to the VA, and this could be also in delivery, right? She can also help out with delivery, right? Now here, after you've done a time audit, you can then, in order to train her, you can find someone online jobs PH, right? From the Philippines, PH. You can then create SOPs. So that's standard operating procedures, right? So this online jobs PH, and then you can just interview and train them. Now, this again is going to bring so much part of your time back that you can then reinvest into outreach. You can then reinvest the time into learning how to sell, right? Which is one of the biggest things. And yeah, honestly, it's like once I've done this, it was like one of the biggest things that shifted in terms of time, because I went from actual, like this is a transition from basically a freelancer to mainly a business owner, right? In a small scale business owner, right? So it's basically that transition that you're going to be going to, because here you're kind of doing all the work. Then here you got people helping you out with the work, right? So that's where really is going to save a lot of time. And then you can invest that time into, again, the biggest thing that we need to invest into is sales plus marketing, right? And this is just basically appointments and closing deals. That's it, right? Another thing that people are trying to do themselves is learning the systems, right? Learning the systems, okay, themselves. Now, the reason thing is that there's a few things. There's number one, learning how to market, so appointments, right? And then two, sales, right? People try to learn the appointments and sales. These are the most important thing. Then the delivery, of course, you can learn that as well, which you have to. But just to get you to the first 10K per month, people trying to teach themselves how to book appointments, teach them how to sell. But the main thing about this is that, yes, you may learn it and figure it out, but it's going to take you so much time, right? The time here is crazy, right? What I did, especially when it comes to the 10K per month, I invested in myself. Now, of course, we have a program that we teach you that. That's just a hint, but it could be with anyone else, right? Invested. Now, that is joining programs plus groups, okay? You need to get that information, because right now you are in debt of information, right? You don't know what you don't know, right? So you're jumping on, you're like, how do I get appointments? This is you, right? And you're like, how do I get appointments and sales? But you do not know, right? And you are lost. So you need to find someone who already knows. Now, this again, there's people that do know how to book appointments. There's people who know how to sell. And you just have to learn from the best, right? And then just keep practicing it every single day, right? So the first, let's say if I were to do this, the first 4 hours of my day, right? 4 hours would equal like outreach, or learning how to outreach, especially if you join a program. Then 4 hours, like 2 to 4 hours, sales, training, right? Then you're gonna take 4, 5 hours calls, then rest is just delivery if you have clients, right? Delivery. You're gonna do this until, with outreaching, you book around, say, 2.5% ABR. Now, this could be anything. If you're doing content, just make sure you're booking appointments, whatever you're doing. And then sales, you're closing at least 25%, right? CSR, closing rate, okay? And all you have to do is just keep practicing it, practicing, testing, especially when it comes to outreach, testing different scripts, testing angles, sales, practicing your pitch, practicing your objection handling, and just keep going through it again and again and again, right? Adjusting your pitch, adjusting your offer until you learn how to do it. But the main thing that people don't do here is look for help, right? They just think that they have a big ego, and essentially ego is what keeps people broke, right? Broke, like especially on a 10K per month. So it's dropping the ego is going to allow you to really understand what you don't know and then fix what you don't know so you can start scaling and making money. Okay, so that is the second thing. Now the third thing is tracking data plus testing, right? Not a lot of people track the data. They think, oh, it's not needed or anything like that. And people just go about business doing the outreach. And then what happens when you don't track data is that you live by emotions, right? Emotions, right? So if you have a bad day, let's say you don't get any outreaches, you start being upset. You're like, this system doesn't work, right? Or this thing doesn't work. But it could just be laws of averages. So this is how law of averages work. Here, then you have basically here, right? And the highest peak could be like, say, 3 appointments. And then the lowest could be someone telling you to F off, right? So imagine if you made your decision of how your business, let's say you change your scripts, and let me just move here. You change your scripts, you what do you call it? You say, I don't want to do this anymore. I quit my agency. When you're at this peak, right? When you're at your peak here, right? So when you're at your peak here, or when you're at your trough here, right, which is the lowest here, you're going to be like, hey, F this. I'm going to stop doing this outreach. I'm going to stop running my agency. And at the, let's say at the top, you're like, I feel the top of the world. But here you start changing scripts. You start changing your sales process, right? You start changing things. Where in reality, you should just keep things the same, right? Keep it the same. Okay? Now, the reason why you want to keep things the same is because, for example, right now, we're booking around 300 appointments plus on LinkedIn per month, right? And we haven't changed the scripts. So 300 appointments, come here, 300 apps. And we haven't changed the system for around 3 months. 3 months, kept it the same, right? And the thing is that most people, especially when it comes to the business world, right? They may have 1 to 2 or 3 ads that really work. And all they're doing is just running the ad every single day. Like they just keep running that ad. And most people, they just keep trying to change it constantly. And they might have one thing that works, but because they're constantly in that limbo here, right, which you just done here, they don't understand that something just needs to be kept constant. And how you get to that kind of tranquility, that calm state, and how I've got to it, right? State is by tracking data, right? If I'm consistently tracking data, right? And then I'm doing test and tracking my test, right? So let's say, hey, I want to test a new offer or slash angle or slash sales, right? I'm going to test it alongside my current one. So for example, I like to call this like an evergreen campaign, right? Evergreen. So this is going to call evergreen. Right? And then here we got test campaign, right? Test. I'm going to be running the evergreen always, right? Until I find a test that beats the evergreen, right? And then you can then change it, right? Or you can then add the test to the evergreen, all right? Or just basically add the test to the evergreen, and then this basically becomes the evergreen, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be testing. I have an evergreen test. So this is something that even if it's kind of mediocre, is let's say a 1% ABR, let's say for LinkedIn, it's pretty okay, but really wanted to get 2.5. So I'm going to be testing my test alongside this one until we have something that is better, let's say 1.5, and then it'll just be a 1.5 that I'm always going to be running, right? But a lot of people just, when let's say the evergreen script has a bad week, right? Bad week. They then change the whole system, right? And that's why you keep getting stuck, because you have something that's working, but because you're being emotional and you're not tracking data, you're just relying on your feelings instead of relying on data to actually make that decision for you. And that's why a lot of people get stuck. And essentially, tracking data, having more strategic tasks is going to allow you to not only start scaling, booking appointments, signing clients, it's going to be able to literally feel like a solid ball, like very solid and very stable emotionally when it comes to getting to that 10K per month, right? And the biggest thing I've changed, like especially as a person, you just go from being an emotional person, right? Emotional to just being a bit more logical, right? And having patience, tracking, strategical, right? And then that's kind of the let's say belief or character system, or the person you have to become in order to get past that 10K per month, right? And that's essentially it. That's everything that I wanted to go through on this video. Now, if you did like a video like this, just put a thumbs up, like, subscribe, go down. There's a link for us to talk. If you are interested in scaling past the 10K, 20K per month. And yeah, that's it from this video. And take care. Bye.